Can I bring you over to see some other people?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Let's.
Okay.
I want to introduce you to.
Okay.
We did the field over in 2009, and that's how I met the Austin family. When I was coaching girls softball, and we wanted to make some upgrades to the field, and we put a volunteer effort together. And I met Maureen, and she brought the whole family out in mass force, and we did a lot of things to upgrade the field.
And so this has become sort of an annual event now?
Well, this is our second time doing it.
All right.
And it's kind of hard.
Okay, that's all right.
And as it keeps going on, 2 years ago, I was at our field in Ludlow, the Relics field,
Yep.
and I was doing some work out in the outfield, and Paul Grudgeon, who he's here somewhere,
Okay.
I'll introduce you to him afterwards. He came out and talked to me, and he said, asked me, he said, how did you, you're familiar with doing this stuff? And I said, yeah, we've done a couple of fields. And we had done Greenleaf in Springfield and done this field. And I said, Austin-Gaughn. And he said, Austin-Gaughn in Belchertown? And I said, yes. And he said, do you know the story of Ken Thompson? And I said, no. I said, what? And this is where this all takes a different turn. Turns out, Kenny Thompson, he's one of the Relics. I've played with him for years.
Yeah.
Well, Ken was in Washington, D.C. that year on one of the trips, and he's down at the Vietnam Memorial. And he says to the guide there, I'm trying to find the name of someone. And I said, who is that? He says, Lieutenant Michael Austin. And it turns out Kenny was Michael's medic when his Jeep was hit by the enemy rocket. And Kenny had just met Michael about 6-7 weeks before that, when Kenny got stationed over there, put in country, as they say, and he was assigned to that group. He has a story that Michael came over and introduced himself, and Kenny tells the story that he thought he was in trouble because he saw an officer coming up to him, but Michael said to him, I heard you're from Western Mass. Kenny's from Agawam.
Okay.
And he said, I wanted to introduce myself. And Kenny actually wrote a letter home to his mom saying, that he had met Lieutenant Austin. And then, unfortunately, what happens at 6-7 weeks later. And he has to write another letter home about what happened. Well, when I heard this, I called Maureen and I said, you're not going to believe this. And I said, have you ever met Ken Thompson? And she said, no. And I said, would you like to? Would you talk to your family? So we did that, and over at that monument is where we met that year. We have pictures of it, and probably maybe even one over there.
Okay.
And from that time on, it's just been a wonderful relationship developed for it. And I approached Maureen. I said, what if I get the Relics out here to play a game on this beautiful field? And she said, yes, please. And so that all started last year, and we're back again this year to honor them again. But
All right.
this is Ken.
Hi, Ken. Lou Lorraine, Belchertown Community TV.
Hi.
So I understand you're a key component to this whole story.
I guess so. I guess so. I met the Austins through Daryl, which was amazing because it was 50 years after the fact. So that I was treating a brother, and it's a really nice story. Here's another sister here. Let me say hello.
All right.
How are ya? How'd it go?
I'm getting there.
Good. You feeling? You look good. It went well?
I lost some weight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Story about how we were talking in the outfield that day, and
the
whole story about Ken comes out. And Paul and his family do so much for this group right here, Forever Young Veterans, and that's the trip that Kenny went on through them.
All right.
So, I mean, none of this happens unless we just have this chance conversation about Austin-Gaughn Field.
Yeah.
So we went down to Washington, D.C., 5 days, 4 nights. We brought mostly everybody was a Vietnam War vet, so we had a couple of Korean War vets. And Kenny wanted to find Michael Austin's name on the wall.
Yeah.
So I was with him, and we were walking, And he just stopped, and he's just like, I gotta ask a ranger, park ranger. And she said, punches his name, and she goes, "You're standing in front of his panel." She goes like this. There he is, right there.
Wow.
I mean, it was just really
was fate.
surreal
Yeah.
that he was actually standing in front of the Michael Austin's panel.
Yeah.
And so the story goes that Michael was in a lead vehicle on a caravan, I guess, and
Little
convoy, and his vehicle took a hit.
It wasn't an IUD though, right?
No, I think it was a rocket RPG. I think.
Yeah, probably an RPG.
And the whole convoy stopped, and Kenny ran up there, and pretty much he said that Michael Austin died in his arms because Kenny was an Army. He was a medic.
Yeah.
So he had the whole article, and he wanted to finally meet the family. And so that's, I was standing in the outfield at Ludlow Fish and Game,
Yeah.
and I was telling Daryl the story, and he goes, "I know the Austin family." I go, "Wow," because Daryl was originally from Belchertown.
Okay.
And he goes, "I know the family really well, and I'm going to contact them." So Kenny got to meet the family, the Austin family, and tell them that, hey, I was with your brother when he passed away, and I think it was 1972 in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So it's a good story.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So some of you from last year know the Western Mass Relics, and they volunteered to come out here again to make this a very special event. And I think a lot of you now know the story of how this all happens, but just to introduce you to some of the folks here. Many of you know Maureen Austin, and it was her brother Michael that the field here is named for. Many members of the Austin family are here to help honor the lives of Michael and Roger Gaughn. And this whole thing happens, I know many of you heard this, but it goes back to 2009 when I was coaching girls softball here, and I wanted to learn more about the field, and we wanted to decide to do some to help out with some upgrades and some maintenance that needed to be done.
I met Ken and Daryl up here in 23. We talked about a sign because there had been no sign in all the years that the field has been here. And Daryl worked with the town, and we got a sign there. And then last year, when we started, when we had this game, and we started the game, I held up this little tiny flag for everyone to see, and we decided that we needed a flagpole. And last fall, I got a surprise because someone sent me a picture, texted me a picture of the monument over there, the rock that came from our farm, and the flagpole. And it had been put up by people who wanted no recognition. It had been done anonymously, and they just felt that a flag needed to be here. So this year we're really happy to have the flagpole.
Cool.
So, and Christopher is also Michael's nephew. Christopher never knew Michael. He's your uncle, am I correct? I got the right generations here? Okay, and he's going to throw out the first pitch today.
So, just to add a few words, if I may, this morning with everybody. First and foremost, good morning, and thank you all for being here and joining us. On behalf of my family, welcome to Austin-Gaughn Field. Last year we were brought together to see the Relics start off their season, and we learned some more information that we just heard about my uncle, Lieutenant Michael Austin. Though our ceremony last year, it was apparent that something was missing, and I talked to a few other people, and we put this together, and kind of top secret. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. We got this up, but I was humbled to be able to do it because I think it needed to be done, and I'm glad that we could put it together. The American flag is the single most recognizable symbol of freedom, hope, and strength in this country and beyond. With the help and support of the Belchertown DPW and family members, this flagpole was put in place. The field has been a part of this Belchertown community for 40 plus years. It's 45 actually. This made the 28th of this year, and it has significant meaning to the Austin family. As my aunt had just mentioned, the rock displayed came from a field that was on my family's farm. And it was brought here and put in place with a placard on the front of it in remembrance. It's due to the men and women who serve and have served the armed forces that allow us to enjoy this field, a baseball or a softball game here. And that dedication to service is a continuous act that often goes unnoticed or taken for granted. In my family, the very dedication is continued by Lieutenant Robert Razaza, who I'm proudly to say is my cousin, a distinguished graduate of West Point and currently serving our country in the armed forces to keep these very freedoms alive that we all enjoy every day. In closing, I want to thank the Relics, especially Daryl, for continuing to play on this field, my Aunt Maureen for her continuous dedication to her brother's memory and keeping that a forethought in our minds. Let us not forget, freedom is not free. God bless America. Let's play ball.
Well,
You're gonna say a few words, so I'm gonna say
we're here
thank
our
you.
second year playing a softball game. I think I'll be playing outfield. I haven't been assigned yet. Everyone here is in the 65 and over group, and this is my first year playing. But I know this is the second year they've done it, and it's a great, community gathering to remember somebody who we lost in the Vietnam War.
Yeah. Can you give us your name for the?
My name's Mark Brownell, and I live in Belchertown. Try to stay involved with some of the community affairs and things, so I'm looking forward to a good game today.
All right.
Nice pitch.
Oh, you son of a... If I can hit it far enough, I'll get the second.
Oh, come on. You guys hit your first base. Nobody. Coach?
Oh,
Pitch, Raymond.
jump.
Come on, Jim, pick me up.
Raymond.
Second if you need it.